Imagine standing at the edge of a mountain trail just before dawn, the sky still wearing its shade of quiet darkness, the air filled with the kind of chill that whispers both fear and excitement. You can feel it. The weight of possibility resting on your shoulders, the sense that something extraordinary could begin here, right now, if only you dared to take the first step. That, in its essence, this book is about. How to set goals that stretch you is not a manual of quick tips or fleeting inspiration, a journey. One that challenges your habits, questions your comfort, and invites you to reach beyond what feels safe. About crafting goals that don't just ask you to work harder, but to think deeper, to evolve, expand your very understanding of who you are and what you're capable of becoming. A stretch goal is not simply a target, it's a transformation. It is the kind of goal that stretches your mind before it tests your muscles, demands that you confront the voice inside you that says, "I can't," and replace it with the quieter belief that maybe, just maybe, you can. In this first chapter, the blueprint of the entire journey unfolds. This is the kaka, the foundation upon which the rest of the book is built. It begins with understanding why goals matter at all, why most people fail to set ones that truly move them. Too often, goals are treated as destinations: get the promotion, lose the weight, earn the money, buy the house. But real growth does not happen at the finish line, it happens in the space between the decision and the achievement. It's in the discipline of showing up, in the courage to persist, and in the humility to learn. Stretch goals are powerful because they demand a shift in who you are becoming. Not just what you are doing. They pull you into your potential the way gravity pulls a stone toward the earth. The process is not always comfortable, but it is always meaningful. To set a stretch goal, you must first understand the paradox of growth, that comfort and progress cannot coexist for long. The human brain is wired for safety, predictability, and routine. It resists change because change is uncertain, and uncertainty feels like danger. Yet, without that discomfort, without that friction, you remain trapped in repetition, repeating the same thoughts, the same habits, the same version of yourself. A stretch goal interrupts that pattern. It forces your mind to adapt, to innovate, to evolve. It is not about reckless ambition, nor about impossible dreams. It's about setting a target that lies just beyond your current ability, one that requires you to grow into the person capable of achieving it. Think of a stretch goal like a rubber band pulled to its limit. If you pull it too far, it snaps. If you don't pull it enough, it stays limp and useless. The art lies in finding that perfect tension, the point at which your mind, your effort, and your belief are all stretched but not broken. And in that tension, growth is born. Throughout this audiobook, we'll travel through 15 chapters that reveal how to identify, design, and execute stretch goals that are aligned with your deepest values. We'll explore the inner mechanics of motivation, how purpose fuels perseverance, how clarity sharpens focus, and how small, consistent actions accumulate into extraordinary results. Learn that success isn't built in moments of excitement, but in moments of quiet persistence. You'll see that failure isn't the opposite of progress, but the proof that you are stretching far enough to grow. This first chapter is your compass. It points you toward the mindset required to embark on this journey with intention. Setting stretch goals begins not with ambition, but with awareness. You must ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to become? Because every meaningful goal is a mirror. It reflects not what you have, but who you are, And when you stretch yourself toward something that feels bigger than you, something that feels just slightly out of reach, you begin to see pieces of your potential that you didn't know existed. That is the quiet magic of a stretch goal. It awakens parts of you that comfort has kept asleep. But awareness alone is not enough. You must also embrace structure. Without structure, dreams dissolve into wishes. You will learn how to build a system that supports your stretch goals. Through routines, reflection, and measurement, you'll understand why clarity is more powerful than motivation, why discipline outlasts inspiration, why accountability transforms intention into action. Most people fail to reach their goals not because they aim too high, because they aim too low and hit. They choose what is safe, what is familiar, what guarantees comfort. Yet comfort never built greatness. To stretch yourself is to accept the discomfort of growth, to willingly step into uncertainty with faith that something better lies beyond it. This first chapter asks you to make a decision, not a decision about what you want, but about who you are willing to become to achieve it. Think of the mountain again, the one shrouded in mist. You cannot yet see the summit, but you know it's there. The climb will be steep. There will be moments when you question your strength, moments when the path disappears beneath your feet. But with each step, you'll discover not only how far you've come, but how much more you're capable of. This book is your companion for that journey. In the chapters that follow, you'll uncover the principles of goal design, the psychology of persistence, and the strategies of sustained growth. You'll learn how to transform setbacks into feedback, how to harness discipline as a creative force, how to align your goals with your values so that every step feels purposeful. This is not about chasing achievements for validation, about building a life that reflects your highest potential. So as this first chapter draws to a close, take a moment to imagine your own mountain. See it clearly in your mind. The goal that excites you, scares you, and challenges you all at once. That's the one worth pursuing. Don't settle for what feels easy. Easy keeps you where you are. Challenge takes you where you belong. From this point forward, commit to the climb. Commit to the process of stretching. Not until you break, but until you transform. Because that's what stretch goals truly do. They turn ordinary people into extraordinary achievers, not by changing what they do, but by changing who they are. And so, this is your beginning, the foundation, the cocker, the blueprint of your next chapter. The question that now remains is simple, yet profound. How far are you willing to stretch? To understand what it truly means to set a goal that stretches you, we must first understand what a stretch goal really is. Not as a concept on paper, but as a living force that reshapes the way you think, act, see yourself. A stretch goal is the bridge between your current reality and your untapped potential. It's the space between who you are today and who you could become tomorrow, if you dared to move beyond comfort. It is not a dream that floats in fantasy, a simple checklist item that sits within easy reach. It is a deliberate challenge, a commitment to step beyond familiarity and into growth. Most people misunderstand goals. They set them as tasks, as markers of progress, as trophies of productivity. But a stretch goal is different. It is not about doing more of what you already know. It's about becoming someone capable of doing what you have never done before. It doesn't just stretch your effort. It stretches your belief. It forces you to face the invisible boundary between what feels possible and what feels impossible. And in that friction, your true self, not the one defined by past results, but the one shaped by future potential, To grasp this idea, imagine your life as a circle. The circle are your current habits, skills, and experiences. Everything you know how to do. Beyond the edge of that circle lies your growth, the possibilities that await if you're willing to expand the borders of what you believe you can handle. A stretch goal lies right at that edge. It's close enough to be believable, but far enough to make you uncomfortable. It should make your heart race a little when you think about it, make you wonder whether you can actually pull it off. That tension, that mix of excitement and fear, is the heartbeat of a true stretch goal. Small, and it won't inspire you. Too big, and it will paralyze you. The secret lies in finding that delicate middle ground, the space where challenge meets capability, where effort meets opportunity. That is where transformation begins. To set a stretch goal, you must first recognize the difference between performance goals and growth goals. Performance goals are about outcomes, numbers, milestones, achievements. They're tangible and measurable, like earning a specific income or running a marathon in under 4 hours. Growth goals, however, are about expansion, learning, evolving, becoming. They focus on who you must become to reach that outcome. A stretch goal combines both. Your full attention. It gives you something measurable to aim for, but is rooted in the deeper desire to grow into the person who can achieve it. This dual nature is what makes stretch goals so powerful. They challenge not just your skills but your identity. The moment you set one, an internal shift, a conflict between who you are and who you must become. Your mind begins to resist. Doubt whispers, fear surfaces, logic warns you to stay safe. That's because your brain is wired for survival, not growth. It interprets uncertainty as danger. But here's the truth. The discomfort you feel is not a warning to retreat. It's a signal that you are entering the zone of expansion. Growth is supposed to feel uncomfortable. Every meaningful leap in your life has started with uncertainty, with not knowing whether you could do it. That's the essence of stretching, extending yourself beyond your previous limits. When you set a stretch goal, you must therefore learn to embrace discomfort as proof that you're growing. Fear, instead of being an obstacle, becomes a compass pointing toward your next evolution. The more resistance you feel, the more important the goal likely is. Think of great innovators, athletes, or leaders throughout history. None of them achieved extraordinary results by staying within the familiar. They dared to stretch. They aimed higher than their resources, their knowledge, and even their confidence allowed at the time. But they understood something profound. That clarity and capability come after commitment, not before it. You grow into your goals by moving toward them, not by waiting to feel ready. Readiness is a myth. It's comfort disguised as caution. A stretch goal demands that you act before you're certain. It asks you to take steps in faith. Faith that the process will build the strength you need. To create such a goal, you must start with vision. What do you want that truly excites and scares you? What do you crave, not just as a result, but as an experience of becoming? Your vision should be emotionally charged. It should stir something deep inside. Curiosity, hunger, pride, purpose. Once you have that, translate it into a clear, measurable target. If it's too vague, it will fade. If it's too rigid, it will restrict you. The goal should stretch you but remain flexible enough to adapt as you grow. Then, commit. Write it down. Speak it aloud. The act of declaration gives it life. When you commit to a stretch goal, you make a psychological contract with yourself. A promise to grow into your potential, no matter how uncertain the path. From that point, every choice, every habit, Every thought should align with that promise. But here's the challenge: as you move toward your stretch goal, resistance will rise. Doubt will whisper that you're not ready. Setbacks will tempt you to shrink your vision. The voice of comfort will offer excuses disguised as logic. Maybe now isn't the right time. Maybe I'm asking too much. Maybe it's not realistic. Those words are the guardians of mediocrity. Their job is to keep you safe. But safe is the enemy of growth. When that voice appears, recognize it for what it is: a sign that you're getting closer to transformation. The goal is not to silence the doubt, but to act despite it. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's the decision to move forward anyway. A true stretch goal demands consistent, focused effort, but also a willingness to adapt. It's a living process. You will stumble, you will adjust, and you will learn. Each setback is not failure, it's feedback, reveals where your belief, your discipline, or your systems need strengthening. Over time, what once felt impossible begins to feel natural. The border of your comfort zone expands, and with it, so does your confidence. You start to see yourself differently. As someone capable, resilient, growing. That identity shift is the real victory of a stretch goal. The external achievement is only the evidence. As you listen to this chapter, remember this truth: your goals are not just about the future. They are reflections of your present courage. Every time you choose to stretch, you are declaring to yourself that you are more than your circumstances, more than your limitations, more than your excuses. You are capable of more than you know. Setting a stretch goal is not an act of arrogance, it is an act of faith. Faith in your potential, faith in your persistence, and faith in the process of becoming. So, as we close this chapter, take a moment to ask yourself, what would I aim for if I stopped letting fear decide what's possible? That question is where every great transformation begins. Your answer doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be honest. Because the journey to your stretch goal isn't about certainty, about commitment. From this point forward, let that be your mindset. Don't chase what's easy. Don't aim for what's safe. Choose the goal that stretches you. The one that makes your heart beat faster, the one that forces you to grow, the one that turns potential into power. That's where your real story begins. That's what this book will teach you to achieve, one stretch at a time. Belief is the invisible engine that drives every great achievement. Without it, even the most brilliant plan collapses under the weight of doubt. When you set a goal that stretches you, belief is not just helpful, it is essential, because a stretch goal, by definition, sits beyond your current evidence. It lives in the unknown, the space where logic hesitates and imagination dares to continue. You cannot touch it yet, you cannot prove it yet, you must still move toward it as if it were inevitable. That is the paradox of progress. You must believe before you can see. And belief, real belief, is not a feeling that falls from the sky. It is a discipline, a daily choice, a mental muscle that strengthens only when tested. In this chapter, we explore how to build that muscle, the psychology and practice of belief, the kind that sustains you when motivation fades, when results are slow, and when every step feels heavier than the last. The first truth about belief is that it begins with awareness. Cannot build confidence on top of confusion. You must know what you believe about yourself, your abilities, and your limits. Most people don't realize that their beliefs are inherited, absorbed from parents, teachers, society, and experiences long before they chose them consciously. They carry silent stories in their minds. I'm not smart enough. I'm not disciplined enough. People like me don't achieve things like that. These beliefs act like glass ceilings, invisible but real, capping potential without ever being questioned. To stretch beyond your current reality, you must first stretch beyond these mental ceilings. Ask yourself, what do I currently believe about what's possible for me? Who told me that was true? And what if it isn't? Every time you challenge a limiting belief, you loosen its grip. You begin to see that beliefs are not facts. They are choices, reinforced through repetition. And if you can choose a belief that limits you, you can also choose one that lifts you. That's where transformation begins, by replacing the voice of doubt with one of possibility. The second truth about belief is that it grows through evidence. Not evidence of success, evidence of effort. Each small action you take toward your stretch goal becomes proof that you are capable of progress. Your full attention. You don't have to conquer the mountain in one day, you just have to take one honest step, and then another. Each step rewires your brain to see yourself as someone who follows through, someone who endures. The mind learns through experience. When you act in alignment with your goal, even in fear, you teach yourself that belief is justified. Over time, effort transforms uncertainty into confidence. The size of your action that matters. It's the consistency. Tiny, repeated steps create momentum, and momentum creates faith. This is why discipline and belief are intertwined and tied. Every time you honor your word to yourself, belief grows. Every time you break it, belief weakens. That is why most people struggle. They set goals that excite them, but their actions don't match their intentions, and the gap between desire and behavior erodes trust in themselves. To build unshakable belief, you must become someone your future self can rely on. You must keep the promises you make to yourself, even when no one is watching. That's how you build integrity, and integrity is the foundation of inner power. The third truth about belief is that it feeds on imagination. You cannot create a future you cannot picture. Visualization is not daydreaming, it is mental rehearsal. When athletes visualize success, they are not indulging in fantasy. They are training their minds to believe in possibility. Neuroscience confirms that the brain doesn't fully distinguish between real experience and vividly imagined experience. When you visualize yourself achieving your stretch goal, feeling it, seeing it, living it, you are programming your mind to recognize that future as familiar, not foreign. Familiarity breeds comfort, and comfort lowers resistance. Time, what once felt impossible begins to feel inevitable. The key is emotional involvement. Your visualization must stir emotion. Emotion imprints belief. When you imagine yourself achieving your goal, don't just see it, feel it. Feel the pride, the relief, the gratitude, excitement. Let that feeling anchor in your body. Then, act from that emotional state. This is how you align your inner world with your outer actions. Belief without emotion is weak. Belief infused with emotion becomes unstoppable. Yet, even with strong belief, doubt will always visit. The fourth truth is that belief and doubt can coexist. The goal is not to eliminate doubt, but to manage it. Only becomes dangerous when it leads to inaction. You can feel fear and still move forward. You can feel uncertainty and still stay committed. In fact, ability to act despite doubt is the truest measure of belief. Think of it like light and shadow. Doubt only appears where light exists. The presence of fear doesn't mean you lack belief. It means your belief is alive, being tested, being refined. What strengthens it is movement. The more you act, the quieter doubt becomes. Action is the antidote to uncertainty. Each time you choose progress over hesitation, belief deepens its roots. The fifth truth is that belief grows best in the right environment. You cannot expect to thrive in soil that suffocates your dreams. The people you surround yourself with, the conversations you engage in, the information you consume, all of it shapes your internal narrative. You spend your days with people who settle, you will unconsciously start shrinking your own ambitions. But if you align yourself with those who strive, challenge, who lift, your belief expands naturally. Energy is contagious, so is mindset. Protect your mental environment like a garden. Weed out negativity, nourish your vision, and expose yourself to stories of resilience and triumph. The more examples you see of others who stretched beyond their limits, the more your mind accepts that it's possible for you too. That's why belief is both personal and collective. It grows within you, but it is also fueled by the energy around you. Finally, belief is sustained by purpose. When your goal is deeply connected to something that matters to you, belief becomes unshakable. Purpose is the emotional anchor that keeps you steady through storms. When you know why your stretch goal matters, why it's worth the struggle, why it's worth the fear, you find strength you didn't know you had. Purpose transforms effort into devotion. It turns the climb into a calling. So, when you feel like quitting, don't ask, "Can I do this?" Ask instead, "Why did I start?" The answer will reignite your belief. The truth is, belief is not about certainty, it's about commitment. It's the quiet decision to keep showing up, even when results haven't arrived, trusting that every step counts, that growth is happening even when it's invisible. Building belief is not a one-time act, a lifelong practice. You nurture it through repetition, through reflection, through resilience. Every challenge you overcome becomes proof that you can handle more. Every stretch you survive becomes a story that strengthens you. And over time, something remarkable happens. You stop needing to believe you can. You simply know you will. That's the transformation this chapter invites you to embrace. Build belief is to build identity. To strengthen belief is to strengthen destiny. So, as you move forward, remember this: your belief does not have to be perfect, it just has to be stronger than your doubt. Feed it daily. Protect it fiercely. Let it guide your steps until what once felt impossible becomes inevitable. Because when your belief expands, your world expands with it. And that is how every great journey continues, one act of faith at a time. Persistence is the quiet, relentless heartbeat of every meaningful achievement. It is the force that keeps you moving long after motivation has faded, after excitement has turned into exhaustion, long after the applause has stopped. When you set a stretch goal, persistence becomes the bridge between intention and realization, the unseen energy that carries you across the vast distance between the dream and its fulfillment. Motivation may light the spark, but persistence keeps the flame alive when the winds of difficulty blow. In this chapter, we uncover the truth about persistence, what it really means, why it matters more than talent, and how to cultivate it when progress feels invisible. To understand persistence, we must first destroy the myth of constant inspiration. The truth is, no one feels motivated all the time. The most driven individuals wake up some mornings feeling tired, discouraged, or indifferent. The difference between those who achieve extraordinary goals and those who give up is not that they feel inspired every day. It's that they act whether they feel like it or not. Persistence is not about emotion, it's about decision. It is the daily choice to continue, even when the feelings that once drove you have disappeared. The human mind craves comfort, and whenever you begin to stretch beyond your limits, It searches for reasons to retreat. I'll start tomorrow. It's too hard. Maybe it's not worth it. These thoughts are not signs of failure. They are the natural resistance of growth. The challenge is not to eliminate them, but to keep moving despite them. Persistence is not a burst of energy, it is endurance in motion, waking up on days when progress feels painfully slow and saying, "I'll try again." It's showing up when no one is watching, doing the work that doesn't yet pay off, and trusting that consistency compounds in silence. The world celebrates results. Persistence happens in the shadows, unseen, unpraised, but unstoppable. It's the invisible proof of commitment, the evidence of belief made real through repetition. To build persistence, you must first redefine your relationship with struggle. Most people interpret struggle as a sign that something is wrong, when in truth, struggle is the signal that growth is occurring. A muscle grows only when it is challenged. A mind strengthens only when it faces difficulty. The resistance you feel when pursuing a stretch goal is not punishment. It is progress in disguise. Every obstacle is a test, asking one question: badly do you want this? If your answer is weak, you'll retreat. If your answer is strong, you'll adapt. Persistence thrives on adaptation. It's not about stubbornly doing the same thing over and over. It's about staying committed to the goal while remaining flexible in your approach. When one path closes, persistence finds another. The persistent person is not unbreakable. They are unyielding. They bend but do not quit. They learn and keep moving forward. To cultivate such persistence, you must develop a long-term mindset. Most people overestimate what they can do in a week and underestimate what they can do in a year. We live in a world addicted to immediacy. Instant results are glorified and patience is seen as weakness. But stretch goals are not achieved in days or even weeks. They are built in layers, countless repetitions of effort. When you shift your focus from speed to consistency, something powerful happens. Stop chasing outcomes and start mastering process. You learn to love the work itself, not just the reward. That shift is the secret to lasting persistence. The more meaning you attach to the process, the less you depend on external motivation. Persistence is sustained not by excitement but by purpose. When you connect your daily actions to a deeper reason, a personal why, that transcends temporary discomfort, you find strength that motivation alone can never give. Purpose turns endurance into devotion. It transforms effort from something you have to do into something you get to do. When you understand why your goal matters, persistence becomes an act of self-respect. You continue, because stopping would betray the person you're becoming. Still, persistence is not built in grand gestures, it's forged in micro moments, the times you choose progress over excuses. It's built when you write the page, make the call, take the step, when no one cares. These moments are small in isolation, but together they form a chain of discipline that cannot be broken. Over time, persistence becomes habit, and habit becomes identity. You stop asking, "Will I keep going?" Because persistence has become who you are. Yet persistence alone is not blind endurance. It requires reflection. Every period of persistence should be paired with pauses for evaluation. What's working? What's not? How can I improve? Reflection ensures that persistence remains intelligent, not mechanical. It keeps you growing, not grinding. Many people mistake persistence for suffering. They push themselves mindlessly, confusing exhaustion with progress. True persistence, however, purposeful, it is the art of steady refinement, not reckless repetition. It asks you to be both patient and strategic, both tough and wise. sustain persistence, you must also learn to manage energy. Burnout is the enemy of consistency. Rest is not weakness, it is renewal. The persistent person knows when to pause, when to recover, and when to reignite. The journey toward a stretch goal is a marathon, not a sprint. Every long race requires pacing. Persistence is not about doing more, it's about never stopping for too long, knowing that slow progress is still progress. The smallest forward motion still counts. When you feel stuck, remind yourself, persistence is not about speed, it's about continuation. Keep showing up, even imperfectly. Even the smallest effort done consistently builds momentum over time. Each repetition strengthens resilience, and resilience makes future persistence easier. This is the compounding nature of endurance. The more you persist, the more capable you become of persisting again. It becomes a self-sustaining cycle of strength. Another vital truth about persistence is that it must coexist with patience. Qualities are like twin pillars of achievement. Patience keeps you calm, persistence keeps you moving. Without patience, persistence turns into frustration. Without persistence, patience turns into passivity. Together, they create unstoppable forward motion, the ability to move consistently while trusting the timing of results. When you plant a seed, dig it up every day to check if it's growing. You water it, nurture it, and trust the process. The same principle applies to your goals, your efforts time to bear fruit. Every day of consistent action is another drop of water feeding the roots of your dream. You may not see results yet. Beneath the surface, growth is happening. The soil is shifting. The roots are spreading. Persistence is faith in motion. The belief that what you're doing will one day matter, even if today it doesn't look like it. And when the results finally appear, they seem sudden to others, but you will know they were years in the making. So, as you listen to this chapter, that persistence is not glamorous. It is not loud or dramatic. It's quiet, steady, and often lonely, but it is the single greatest predictor of success. Every great story of triumph is, at its core, a story of someone who refused to give up. Persistence is not a personality trait. It's a practice, one that anyone can cultivate through commitment, patience, and purpose. The question is not whether you can keep going, it's whether you will choose to. Because the truth is, persistence is always a choice. Every time you choose to continue, even when it's hard, you strengthen the part of you that cannot be broken. That is the essence of growth. That is how ordinary effort becomes extraordinary achievement. So, when you face your next setback, when progress slows and doubt returns, remember this: the most powerful thing you can do is to simply not stop. Take one more step. Try one more time. Because persistence, above all else, quiet declaration that you are still in the fight. And that alone means you are already winning. Consistency is the quiet architect of greatness, silent rhythm that transforms fleeting effort into lasting achievement. If persistence is the act of not giving up, then consistency is the art of showing up, again and again, day after day, with steadiness and purpose, is the invisible current that carries you forward when motivation fades and excitement wanes. Consistency doesn't demand perfection, demands repetition. It doesn't require massive leaps, only small, deliberate steps, taken regularly, intentionally, and without fail. In this chapter, we explore the essence of consistency, the science behind its power, and how it turns your stretch goals from abstract dreams into tangible realities. No matter how ambitious your vision, it is consistency, not intensity, that will bring it to life. The human mind often romanticizes transformation. imagining it as a single grand moment of change, a breakthrough, a revelation, act of willpower that suddenly shifts everything. But real transformation is rarely dramatic. It's gradual, almost invisible, in quiet repetitions. It happens when you wake up early one more day, write one more page, make one more call, practice one more hour. Each act seems small in isolation, but together they weave the fabric of mastery. The secret of consistency lies in understanding that progress accumulates in layers. Each repetition is a brick, and every day you stay committed, you add another layer to the foundation of your goal. The structure may rise slowly, but it rises surely. Most people fail not because they lack talent, because they lack rhythm. They sprint, then stop. They start with fire, then burn out. They chase intensity instead of consistency. Success is less about how fast you move and more about how long you can sustain motion. Small actions, repeated consistently, create exponential results over time. This is the compound effect, the law that tiny improvements, practiced daily, eventually create monumental change. Single workout won't transform your body, just as one day of focus won't transform your career. But 1,000 workouts, 1,000 days of disciplined focus, those will. Consistency is the difference between temporary effort and permanent change. It's not about doing extraordinary things, it's about doing ordinary things extraordinarily well, every single day. To build consistency, must first redefine success. Many people sabotage themselves by setting unrealistic expectations. They aim for perfection instead of progress. They believe they must feel ready, inspired, or confident before they act. But consistency doesn't wait for emotion, it is built through discipline. The truth is, you will not always feel like showing up, and that's okay. Consistency isn't about doing your best every day. It's about doing what's necessary, even on the days when your best feels small. The greatest performers, athletes, and creators understand this deeply. They have learned that success is not the result of rare bursts of brilliance but of steady, often unglamorous commitment. The writer who produces a masterpiece didn't write it in one sitting. They wrote a little every day. The athlete who wins gold didn't train when it was convenient, they trained when it was hard. Consistency is the bridge between average and an exceptional. Crossing it requires humility. The humility to embrace repetition, to find meaning in the mundane, to do the same thing 1,000 times without losing faith in the outcome. The challenge, of course, is that consistency often feels boring. The brain craves novelty, excitement, stimulation. But mastery is born in monotony. When you can stay engaged with the process even when it feels repetitive, unlock a rare form of power. The ability to sustain progress when others have lost interest. To maintain consistency, you must anchor it to systems, not willpower. Willpower is temporary, it fades under stress. Systems are reliable, they create structure that supports your goals automatically. A system is a set of routines, habits, and triggers that make desired behavior easier and undesirable behavior harder. If your goal is to write a book, your system might be writing for 30 minutes each morning before checking your phone. If your goal is to get fit, system might be packing your gym clothes the night before. The power of a system lies in removing decision fatigue. When actions become automatic, consistency becomes natural. You no longer ask, "Should I do this today?" You simply do it because it's part of who you are. That's how identity and consistency intertwine. True consistency is not something you do, it's something you become. When you identify as the kind of person who follows through, your actions align effortlessly. Identity creates discipline, and discipline sustains consistency. The key is to focus not on the outcome, but on becoming the type of person capable of achieving that outcome. Just aim to run a marathon. Become a runner. Don't just aim to write a book. Become a writer. When your identity aligns with your behavior, consistency stops feeling like effort, it becomes expression. Still, consistency does not mean rigidity. Life will interrupt. Circumstances will shift. There will be days when you miss the mark, and that's okay. The danger is not in missing one day. It's in letting one missed day turn into a week, a month, then a reason to quit. The secret is to return quickly. Consistency is measured not by how perfectly you perform, but by how fast you recover. The moment you fall off track, start again. Forgive yourself, adjust your approach, and keep going. Perfection punishes, consistency forgives. This mindset keeps momentum alive. Another truth about consistency is that it must be sustainable. Many people confuse consistency with intensity and push themselves too hard, too soon. They start a new habit with excitement, but burn out before it can become a lifestyle. Sustainable consistency is built through moderation, finding the balance between effort and rest. It's better to do a little every day for a year than to do everything for a week and stop. Consistency is not about extremes, it's about endurance. Progress that lasts is progress that can be maintained. That's why the most effective routines are simple, realistic, and adaptable. Complexity kills consistency, simplicity sustains it. Make your system easy enough to follow on your hardest days, and you'll never lose momentum. Consistency also thrives on measurement. What gets measured gets managed. Tracking your progress, no matter how small, reinforces belief. Each checkmark, log, each milestone is a reminder that effort compounds. It keeps your brain engaged, your motivation alive, and your identity reinforced. Celebrate small wins, not as trivial, but as essential proof that the system is working. Those tiny victories are the heartbeat of consistency. Finally, consistency is not just a strategy, it's a spiritual practice. It teaches patience, humility, and trust, forces you to let go of instant gratification and embrace long-term vision. It reminds you that success is not a moment, but a rhythm. The beauty of consistency lies in its simplicity. It asks for little, but gives everything. It turns effort into excellence, dreams into achievements, goals into realities. When you look back one day, you'll see that the extraordinary results you achieved were built on ordinary days. Days when you showed up, even when it didn't feel magical, when you worked quietly without applause, when you believed that small actions mattered. Because they do. Every repetition, every routine, consistent act is a seed. And just like nature, consistency guarantees harvest. Not today, not tomorrow, but inevitably. As you finish this chapter, remember greatness is not built in moments of inspiration, but in moments of consistency. Keep showing up, keep doing the small things well. Because when you do, those small things will eventually become the big things. That's how you turn the promise of a stretch goal into the proof of success. One steady day at a time. Focus is the silent power that turns effort into impact, the unseen force that transforms scattered energy into directed progress. Without focus, even the most ambitious goals dissolve into distraction, and even the most talented minds become trapped in business rather than effectiveness, a world that constantly competes for your attention. With notifications, noise, opinions, and endless demands, the ability to focus has become not just a skill but a superpower. It is the art of choosing what truly matters and giving it your full presence. Focus is not about doing more, about doing what matters most with unwavering clarity. When you set a stretch goal, focus becomes your compass. It keeps you on course when distractions tempt you away, when obstacles multiply, and when the initial excitement fades. This chapter is about mastering that compass, learning how to train your attention, protect your energy, and align your thoughts so completely with your purpose that everything else fades into the background. The truth is, focus begins not with concentration, but with clarity. You cannot focus on what you haven't defined. Many people struggle not because they lack discipline, but because they lack direction. Their goals are vague, their priorities blurred, their minds cluttered with competing intentions. Focus starts when you decide exactly what deserves your attention and what doesn't. It requires you to ask the hard questions. What truly matters to me? What is essential to my goal? What can I let go of without losing progress? When you clarify these answers, create mental simplicity, and simplicity fuels focus. A scattered mind cannot achieve depth, a clear mind can. Imagine your attention as a beam of light. When diffused, it illuminates everything dimly. When concentrated, it burns through steel. The same energy, differently directed, creates dramatically different results. The human brain is not designed for multitasking. It is designed for singular engagement. Every time you switch tasks, you pay a price. A cognitive tax that drains mental energy, reduces creativity, and delays progress. Focus is the antidote to this fragmentation. It is the discipline of saying no to 100 distractions so that you can say yes to one meaningful pursuit. That act of refusal, the willingness to eliminate what does not serve you, is one of the highest forms of self-respect. Focus is not just about attention, it's about alignment. It means aligning your time, your environment, and your energy with your priorities. Every moment spent on what doesn't matter is a moment stolen from what does. To maintain focus, you must learn to guard your attention like a treasure. It is one. Time is valuable, but attention is priceless. Where your attention goes, your life follows. This is why focus is both practical and spiritual. It is how you honor your potential. To build strong focus, begin by mastering your environment. The space around you influences the space within you. If your environment is filled with clutter, noise, or constant interruptions, your mind will mirror that chaos. Create spaces that support clarity. A desk free of distractions, a schedule that protects deep work, a phone that stays silent when it's time to think. You cannot control every external factor, but you can design conditions that make focus easier and distraction harder. Environmental design is one of the most underrated tools of mastery. The second key to focus is managing your energy, not just your time. Attention is not an infinite resource. The brain has limits. Focus fades with fatigue. That's why the most effective people work in rhythms. Bursts of deep focus followed by deliberate rest. They understand that willpower is renewable, not permanent. If you push endlessly, your mind dulls and distraction takes over. True focus requires recovery. Schedule moments of stillness, movement, and reflection. Walk, breathe, pause. These moments don't waste time, they restore it. A rested mind is a focused mind. The third principle of focus is single tasking. The myth of multitasking is one of the greatest thieves of achievement. Doing many things at once makes you feel productive, but actually scatters your progress. Each unfinished task pulls at your attention, creating cognitive noise that drains energy and breeds anxiety. Focused individuals work on one thing at a time, fully immersed, fully engaged. They set clear start and stop points, entering a state of flow. That timeless zone where attention becomes effortless and performance peaks, is not luck, it is design. It emerges when challenge meets skill, when you are doing something that matters at a level that stretches you but doesn't overwhelm you. To live in flow more often, simplify your inputs, remove distractions, and immerse yourself completely in the task at hand. Every deep, focused session strengthens your mental muscle for concentration. Time it becomes your natural state. The fourth pillar of focus is purpose. Nothing sustains attention like meaning. When you know why your work matters, distractions lose their pull. Purpose anchors the mind. It turns effort into devotion. When your actions are aligned with something you deeply value, focus becomes effortless, not because it's easy, but because it's essential. This is why clarity of purpose is the foundation of sustained attention. Can't fake focus on things that don't matter to you. Find your why, and your mind will follow. The fifth element of focus is detachment from perfection. Many people lose focus because they are afraid of making mistakes. They spend hours overthinking or delaying, trapped in the illusion of control. But focus thrives in motion, not hesitation. The mind cannot concentrate on progress while obsessing over flawlessness. To sustain focus, give yourself permission to act imperfectly. Progress, not perfection, builds momentum. Every imperfect attempt refines your skill, sharpens your clarity, and deepens your discipline. The sixth truth about focus is that it requires boundaries. With others and with yourself. You cannot stay focused if you are constantly available. Yes to someone else's urgency is a no to your own priority. Protect your time fiercely. Set boundaries that guard your energy, your attention, and your creative flow. Say no kindly but firmly. Remember, boundaries are not barriers, they are gates that preserve your power. To focus deeply, you must also set internal boundaries. Limits on how much mental space you give to fear, worry, or comparison. Focus dies in the presence of noise, and the loudest noise is often internal. Learn to quiet your mind through mindfulness, journaling, or reflection. When your inner world is calm, focus flows naturally. The seventh and final principle of focus is trust. Trust in the process, trust in your pace, trust in the unfolding of your efforts. Distraction often comes from anxiety. The fear that you're not moving fast enough, not doing enough, not achieving enough. But focus demands patience. It's about planting seeds and allowing them to grow in their own time. You can't force results into existence, you can only nurture the actions that make them inevitable. Trust replaces impatience with peace. Peace is the ideal state for sustained focus. When you trust that your consistent, intentional actions will bear fruit, mind stops wandering toward worry. You stay present. You stay steady. You stay focused. Ultimately, focus is not about control. It's about surrender. It's about surrendering to one task, one goal, one moment at a time, giving it everything you have. That surrender is not weakness, it is power. Because in a distracted world, the ability to give your full attention is revolutionary. Separates those who wish from those who achieve, those who dabble from those who master. So as you finish this chapter, pause and ask yourself, deserves my focus right now? Choose one thing, one goal, one direction, and give it your full attention. Remove the noise. Simplify your world completely. Because when you focus deeply, you not only move faster, you move with purpose, precision, and peace. That is the true secret of all lasting achievement, not more effort, not more ambition, but more focus. The kind of focus that turns vision into reality, one clear, undistracted moment at a time. Discipline is the backbone of all achievement. invisible framework that holds your ambitions upright when motivation collapses and emotions waver. It is not glamorous, not loud, not always comfortable, but it is the one trait that separates those who wish from those who win. Discipline is the bridge between desire and result, the daily decision to do what must be done, even when you don't feel like doing it. It is the quiet, consistent force that transforms intention into reality. This chapter, we journey deep into the essence of discipline, how it's built, why it matters, and how it becomes the unshakable foundation beneath every stretch goal you set. Discipline is often misunderstood. Many think it's about restriction, about forcing yourself into routines that drain joy. But true discipline isn't punishment, it's power. It's the act of aligning your actions with your vision, even when the path feels hard. It's choosing long-term fulfillment over short-term comfort, saying yes to your higher self and no to the impulses that try to pull you back to mediocrity. In a world that glorifies convenience, discipline is rebellion. It is choosing structure over chaos, progress over procrastination, and excellence over ease. The disciplined person doesn't wait for the perfect mood, the perfect plan, or the perfect moment. They act, and through that action, they create momentum. Discipline is the sculptor of character, shaping not just what you do, but who you become in the process. When you commit to something and follow through, you build self-trust. Each act of discipline whispers, "I can rely on myself." And that inner trust becomes the seed of confidence, resilience, and strength. Without discipline, even the most talented person remains trapped in potential. With it, even the most ordinary person achieves extraordinary things. Every stretch goal demands discipline. Every stretch goal asks you to operate beyond your comfort zone. The human brain resists change. It craves safety, familiarity, and ease. Discipline is the mechanism that overrides that resistance. It's the conscious command that says, "I will move forward," when every part of me wants to stop. Discipline is not about fighting your nature. It's about mastering it. It transforms impulse into intention, into control, and dreams into daily habits. Think of discipline as a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. At first, feels heavy. You'll resist. You'll want to quit. But with repetition, it grows easier, until eventually discipline becomes second nature. What once felt like sacrifice begins to feel like freedom. Because discipline doesn't restrict your life. It expands it. It gives you control over your time, your habits, and your destiny. The undisciplined life may appear free, but it is ruled by impulse and distraction. The disciplined life may appear structured, but it is ruled by choice. And choice is the purest form of freedom. To build discipline, start with small promises to yourself and keep them. Don't wait for grand gestures. If you say you'll wake up early, do it. If you say you'll write a page a day, do it. Each time you honor your word, you strengthen the neural pathways of self-control. You prove to yourself that your word has weight. Discipline grows from integrity, from doing what you said you'd do, long after the mood in which you said it has faded. Over time, those small victories accumulate, and consistency becomes identity. You stop trying to be disciplined and simply are disciplined. It's who you've become. The mind loves to negotiate. It whispers, "Skip today, hard enough. You deserve a break." But discipline silences that voice. It reminds you that your goal is worth more than your comfort, that the temporary pain of effort is smaller than the permanent pain of regret. Every act of discipline is a vote for the person you want to be. When you choose discipline, not just saying, I'll do this today. You're saying, I'm building myself into someone unstoppable. The disciplined person doesn't rely on inspiration, they rely on systems. Motivation is emotional and fleeting, but systems are logical and stable. A system turns willpower into automation, removes decision fatigue by making good behavior the default. For example, if your goal is to exercise, don't debate whether to go to the gym each morning. Pack your bag the night before, schedule your workout, and eliminate choice. Systems make discipline easier by designing your environment for success. The fewer decisions you have to make, the more discipline you preserve. Another truth about discipline is that it thrives on purpose. When you know why you're doing something, discipline transforms from a burden into devotion. Purpose gives pain meaning, and meaning makes effort worthwhile. Every disciplined act becomes a form of alignment, a reminder that you're working towards something larger than yourself. Without purpose, discipline becomes mechanical. With purpose, it becomes meaningful. You no longer push yourself out of duty, you pull yourself forward with intention. That's why the most disciplined people are often the most passionate. Their discipline is fueled by something deeper than obligation. Even with purpose, discipline requires emotional control. The ability to act independent of mood is the hallmark of mastery. Your emotions are temporary, but your vision is permanent. You must learn to act according to your commitments, not your feelings. Some days you'll feel unstoppable, others feel drained. Discipline doesn't discriminate between those days. It simply asks, will you show up anyway? The disciplined person answers, yes. Not because they feel like it, but because they've already decided to. Decision precedes discipline. Once the decision is made, the only thing left is execution. The disciplined mind also knows the value of balance. True discipline is not self-punishment, doesn't demand endless grind or burnout. It's about rhythm. Pushing when it's time to push. Resting when it's time to recover. Rest is not the enemy of discipline, it's part of it. A rested mind is sharper, more consistent, and more capable of sustaining long-term effort. Discipline is about harmony between effort and energy, knowing when to advance and when to recharge. This balance keeps discipline sustainable. Without it, discipline becomes drudgery, and you risk rebellion against your own rules. To maintain discipline over time, celebrate progress, not perfection. Day you follow through, acknowledge it. Each act of discipline is a small victory that deserves recognition. Gratitude reinforces habit. The more you appreciate your effort, the more likely you are to continue it. Remember, discipline is not about being flawless. It's about being faithful. You will stumble, you will slip, but the key is to return quickly. The disciplined person doesn't dwell on failure, they refocus and move forward. Resilience, the ability to restart without shame, is the highest expression of discipline. And finally, discipline is not something that confines your life, it defines it. It's the quiet, steady force that builds everything meaningful. Health, success, mastery, love, legacy. The artist's masterpiece, the athlete's victory, the leader's influence. All are born from disciplined repetition. Talent may open the door, but only discipline keeps it open. It is the difference between potential and performance, between dreaming and doing. So, as you finish this chapter, remember this: discipline is not a punishment, it's a declaration. Every time you act with discipline, declare to the world and to yourself that you are serious about your growth, that your goals matter, and that your future is worth the effort. You declare that you are no longer ruled by impulse or distraction, but by purpose and principle. And when that declaration becomes your daily practice, nothing can stop you. Because in the end, the most powerful form of freedom is not doing whatever you want. It's having the strength to do what you must. That strength is discipline. It is the armor of success, the heartbeat of mastery, the eternal companion of every person who dares to stretch beyond their limits. Resilience is the heartbeat of every great achievement, quiet strength that allows you to bend without breaking, to stumble without surrendering, to fall and yet rise again stronger, wiser, and more determined than before. It is not about avoiding hardship, but about transforming it, turning adversity into growth, pain into power, and failure into fuel. In the pursuit of any stretch goal, you will encounter moments when everything feels uncertain, when the mountain looks too steep and the path too long. It is in those moments that resilience becomes your greatest ally. Resilience is not a gift. It is a skill, one that is built through challenge, refined through struggle, and proven through perseverance. This chapter explores the nature of resilience, how it works, how it is built, and how it sustains you when everything else feels like it's falling apart. Truth about stretch goals is that they are designed to test you. They will expose your limits, question your confidence, and demand your growth. That is their purpose. Not to make things easy, but to make you stronger. Resilience is the emotional muscle that grows when you keep showing up through difficulty. Just as physical muscles grow through resistance, emotional strength grows through adversity. Every setback, every disappointment, every obstacle is a form of resistance training for the soul. The more you face, the more you can endure. The key is not to avoid discomfort, but to engage with it consciously. When life pushes you down, resilience whispers, "Stand up again." When failure knocks, resilience says, "Try once more." When doubt creeps in, resilience answers, "I am not done yet." This inner voice is the voice of survival, of belief, of relentless forward motion. It is what separates those who stop from those who finish. Build resilience, you must first accept that struggle is not the opposite of success. It is part of it. Too often, we treat hardship as a sign of weakness or as evidence that something has gone wrong. But the truth is, every meaningful journey contains challenge. Without resistance, there can be no growth. Without tests, there can be no transformation. The people who achieve extraordinary things are not those who avoid pain, but those who use it. They allow difficulty to refine them, not define them. They understand that failure is not a wall, it is a doorway. Every setback contains a lesson, and resilience is the ability to extract that lesson and keep moving. Resilient people do not deny their pain, they face it, process it, turn it into purpose. They ask not, "Why is this happening to me?" but, "What is this teaching me?" That shift in perspective is the foundation of strength. The story of every successful person is, in truth, a story of resilience. Behind every victory are countless rejections, mistakes, and near defeats. The author whose book became a bestseller faced dozens of rejections before a publisher said yes. The athlete who stands on the podium has lost more times than anyone remembers. The entrepreneur who built a thriving business has faced more failures than they care to admit. What unites them all is resilience, the refusal to let defeat be the final chapter. Resilience begins with mindset. How you interpret challenges determines how you respond to them. A fixed mindset sees failure as proof of inadequacy. A growth mindset sees it as evidence of effort. The resilient mind knows that failure is feedback, data that guides improvement. Instead of asking, "Why me?" asks, "What now?" It takes responsibility for growth and uses every experience, good or bad, as material for progress. That perspective transforms pain into power. The second pillar of resilience is emotional regulation, the ability to stay grounded when life feels chaotic. Resilient people feel deeply, but they don't drown in their emotions. They allow themselves to experience frustration, anger, and sadness, but they don't let those emotions dictate their choices. They breathe through them, reflect on them, and then move forward with clarity. Emotional resilience doesn't mean suppressing feelings, it means mastering them. It's the calm in the storm, the eye that sees clearly even when everything else is spinning. The third pillar of resilience is adaptability. Change is inevitable. Those who resist it break, those who adapt survive. Flexibility is strength. Resilient individuals adjust their plans without abandoning their goals, pivot when necessary, finding new ways to move forward when old ways no longer work. They understand that resilience is not about stubbornness, it's about strategic persistence. It's not about forcing a path that's blocked, but about finding another route to the same destination. Adaptability turns obstacles into opportunities and uncertainty into discovery. The fourth pillar of resilience is self-belief. You cannot rise from difficulty if you secretly believe you're not capable of doing so. Self-belief is the anchor that keeps you steady when the tides of life rise. It's the deep knowing that, no matter what happens, you will figure it out. That belief doesn't come from arrogance, it comes from experience. From surviving past challenges and realizing your strength. Every time you overcome something you thought you couldn't, your confidence expands. Resilience grows from the memory of victories, even small ones. Remind yourself often, I've been through worse and I'm still standing. That truth is power. The fifth pillar of resilience is purpose. Why? You can survive almost any. How? Purpose gives meaning to struggle, reminds you why it's worth continuing even when it's hard. Without purpose, pain feels empty. With it, pain becomes sacred. Your goal becomes the reason you rise again. Every challenge becomes a test of how much it matters to you. When your purpose burns bright, obstacle can extinguish it. The sixth pillar is connection. Resilience is not built in isolation. We are strongest when supported by others, mentors, friends, family, communities that remind us we are not alone. Connection provides perspective when we feel lost, hope when we feel hopeless, and encouragement when our strength wanes. Asking for help is not weakness, it is wisdom. Even the most resilient individuals lean on others at times. Refuels resilience, turning exhaustion into endurance. The seventh and final pillar is acceptance. The ability to make peace with what you cannot control and focus on what you can. Resilient people don't waste energy resisting reality. They acknowledge what is, adapt, and take action within their circle of influence. They let go of the illusion of control and instead master response. That surrender is not defeat, it is liberation. When you stop fighting the unchangeable, reclaim power over what remains in your hands. Acceptance transforms suffering into serenity. To cultivate resilience, practice reflection. Look back at moments in your life when you faced difficulty and overcame it. See how those experiences shaped you, strengthened you, and prepared you for what's next. Resilience is built from remembrance. The awareness that you've survived before and can survive again. Practice gratitude, even for hardship, because every trial has hidden gifts. They may not reveal themselves immediately, but with time, you'll see that every difficulty carved depth into your character. Resilience is not about never breaking. It's about breaking and rebuilding stronger. It's about carrying scars with pride because they tell a story of endurance. The most beautiful people are often the most resilient. Those who faced storms yet still choose to shine. Their strength is quiet but unshakable, on the foundation of persistence, courage, and hope. As you pursue your stretch goals, remember the path will not always be smooth. There will be days of doubt, seasons of struggle, moments of loss. But every time you get back up, you grow. Every time you keep going, expand your capacity. Resilience turns pain into purpose and obstacles into opportunities. It transforms adversity into advantage. When you fall, and you will, rise again. Rise slower if you must, but rise. Because resilience is not about avoiding the fall, about mastering the rise. And the more you rise, the more unstoppable you become. Your strength is not in how rarely you stumble, in how quickly you stand. That is resilience, the unwavering belief that no matter what happens, you will endure, evolve, emerge even greater than before.